What the hell is that?
What the fuck?
Guys? Anyone? There's some UFOs. What the fuck is this?
What is this?
Brandon, come here.
What is going on? What is that?
What is that?
What is that?
Aliens.
Radio?
It is.
What the fuck?
What are we looking at?
The aliens?
Guys, look!
Oh, another one. Oh.
And they keep popping up.
No, those are aliens.
What is that? What is it?
That one popped up right now. You saw that, right?
Yeah, that one down there. Is it someone like skydiving and they just
Well, the military is over there, the base, the Navy base.
Baba Vanga may have died almost 30 years ago, but she had plenty of predictions about 2023, and in a word, they're terrifying. What new developments will 2023 bring? Given the events of the past few years, that's a pretty fraught question. The COVID-19 pandemic, political upheaval around the world, war in Ukraine, weather disasters, and inflation are just some of the perils the 2020s have had to offer so far. Science can make some guesses about what's to come, but for highly specific predictions of events, some people turn to soothsayers and self-proclaimed psychics to help navigate the potentially treacherous waters ahead. For example, Nostradamus, whose predictions for 2023 included inflation and a vague omen about Mars. But that 16th century mystic died almost 500 years ago. Isn't there a more modern psychic to consult? Indeed there is, Baba Vanga. Vangelia Pandeva Dimitrova was born in 1911 in Strumica, North Macedonia. According to local legend, when she was 12 years old, a tornado threw the girl into the air. She was found several days later close to death and with her eyes sealed shut.
Her eyes were completely caked with sand and dust.
While she was waiting to be found, Dimitrova is said to have experienced her first vision of the future. According to Sky History, Dimitrova started attending school in 1925 and learned to read Braille. She wasn't able to write down her predictions, so she relied on those around her to accurately write the visions she relayed to them. After adopting the name Baba Vanga, she gathered quite the following. She's said to have foretold events like the assassination of Indira Gandhi and 9/11. Vanga died in 1996 after being nicknamed the Nostradamus of the Balkans. So what did the late seer have to say for 2023? It seems she may have predicted what bioethicists have dubbed gene shopping or gene editing, in which parents pick and choose genetic traits for their children. But she didn't just say it would happen, she predicted it would become mandatory. Wales Online explains that Vanga predicted governments across the world would ban natural birth in favor of laboratory-grown babies, where parents could choose everything from the child's appearance to their personality traits. The Daily Record adds that if Vanga's prediction is correct, this would bring an end to surrogacy. Another big swing Vanga took on her 2023 predictions was that aliens will invade Earth, according to the Daily Record. Most Americans, about 65%, according to a 2021 Pew Research Center survey, believe intelligent extraterrestrial life exists, so why not? Not only will aliens invade, Vanga reportedly said, but they'll cause a shift in the Earth's orbit around the sun, having a major impact on the sustainability of life on the planet. Maybe that's why babies will have to be grown in labs.
Isn't that how babies come? I mean, people babies?
While we're on the topic of fears of potentially world-altering events, how about a possible nuclear disaster? The 2011 accident at a nuclear plant in Fukushima, Japan is a pretty recent memory, and the 1986 Chernobyl disaster was brought back to the public consciousness with a 2019 HBO series. Vanga predicts an accident that will dwarf both of those in 2023. According to the Daily Mail, she said an explosion at a power plant in Asia will cause toxic clouds and illnesses that will spread across multiple countries. Finally, Baba Vanga broached the topic of biological weapons, an international concern throughout the 21st century. Remember the anthrax-laced letters during the immediate aftermath of the 9/11 attacks? Or the charges that Iraq had weapons of mass destruction? Cornwall Live reports that Vanga predicted a developed nation would launch a biological weapon attack in 2023. According to the Center for Arms Control and Non-Proliferation, the Biological Weapons Commission of the United Nations has banned the experimentation and use of biological weapons among the 183 nations in the agreement. The Russian Federation is among those 183 countries, but Bloomberg and other outlets have reported fears that Russia may use a biological weapon in its war against Ukraine. Of course, no one really knows what is in store for the year to come, whether it's an alien invasion, nuclear plant explosion, or nothing at all. Here's to another year.
At the start of this year, If you remember, I made a lot of predictions on events I believe are going to transpire in our society in this year leading into the next coming year. And I got a lot of pushback for this, that there would be more UFO sightings caught on camera this year than any other time in history. And now we're seeing it. This year is going to be the year that UFOs go from fiction to absolute fact. It's going to get to a point where there's so many UFO sightings, everyone's going to be talking about it, and there may be a giant event.
We believe we have crashed craft, stated earlier. Do we have the bodies of the pilots who piloted this craft?
As I've stated publicly already in my News Nation interview, biologics came with some of these recoveries. Yeah.
Were they, I guess, human or non-human biologics?
Non-human, and that was the assessment of people with direct knowledge on the program I talked to that are currently still on the program.
There is a radar sequence that I alone have observed in the United States Congress. One of the pilots goes to check out that diamond formation and sees a large floating, what I can only describe as an orb. Again, like I said, not of any human capability that I'm aware of. And when he approached, he said that his radar went down. He said that his FLIR system malfunctioned and that he had to manually take this image from one of the lenses, and it was not automated in collection as you would typically see in a test mission.
Grush, as a result of your previous government work, have you met with people with direct knowledge or have direct knowledge yourself of non-human origin craft?
Yes, I personally interviewed those individuals.
Mr. Grush, as a result of your previous government work, have you met with people with direct knowledge or have direct knowledge yourself about ATs, advanced technologies that the U.S. government has?
Based on conventional advanced tech, I was briefed to the preponderance of the Defense Department's both space and aerospace compartmented programs. Yeah.
I don't want to cut you off, but how does a program like that get funded?
I will give you generalities. I can get very specific in a closed session, but misappropriation of funds and
does that mean that there is money in the budget that is said to go to a program, but it doesn't, and it goes to something else?
Yes, I have specific knowledge of that. Yep.
Has the U.S. government become aware of actual evidence of extraterrestrial, otherwise unexplained forms of intelligence? And if so, when do you think this first occurred?
I like to use the term non-human. I don't like to denote origin. Keeps the aperture open, both scientifically. Right. Certainly, like I've discussed publicly previously, 1930s.
Do you have any personal knowledge of someone who's possibly been injured working on legacy UAP reverse engineering?
Yes.
Without sufficient data, we are unable to reach defendable conclusions that meet the high scientific standards we set for resolution. Meanwhile, for the few objects that do demonstrate potentially anomalous characteristics, AARO is approaching these cases with the highest level of objectivity and analytic rigor. This includes physical testing and employing modeling and simulation to validate our analyses and the underlying theories, and then peer reviewing those results before reaching any conclusions. This is an example of one that I showed at the hearing recently. This is a spherical orb, metallic, in the Middle East, 2022, by an MQ-9. I will come back to the sensor question that David raised here in a moment. This is a typical example of the thing that we see most of. We see these all over the world, and we see these in making very interesting apparent maneuvers. This one in particular, however, I would point out, demonstrated no enigmatic technical capabilities and was no threat to airborne safety.
Y ahí empezó a sonar mi
With what they claim are UFOs. Candace Monticelli joining us to explain. Hey, Candace.
Hey, good morning. The Pentagon has confirmed the authenticity of the newly leaked video and images showing those multiple UFO sightings by the U.S. Navy personnel as the government prepares now to release a highly anticipated first-of-its-kind report of UFOs this summer.
This is probably the best UFO military filmed footage, certainly that I've ever seen, but I think also that the world has ever seen.
This night vision video shows 3 pyramid-shaped UFOs flying over the USS Russell off the coast of California in July of 2019. They reportedly hovered just 700 feet above the stern of the Navy destroyer. Other cell phone images taken by a Navy pilot flying near Australia in March 2019 show 3 unidentified crafts reportedly performing extraordinary capabilities, like staying stationary in high winds. Investigative filmmaker Jeremy Corbell and George Knapp, an investigative reporter from Las Vegas, obtained the video and images.
These are unknowns, meaning they've already ruled out the typical things that you would expect, like balloons or basic drones from another country.
The Pentagon confirmed U.S. Navy personnel captured the images, and the incidents are under investigation by the Unidentified Aerial Phenomenon Task Force. Corbell says these photos, unconfirmed by the Pentagon, were taken aboard the USS Omaha. They show a spherical object diving into the ocean and disappearing.
UFOs are real, and they are here, but we don't know who they are or the intent.
Now, according to the National UFO Reporting Center, sightings in New York alone have doubled in the last year. So the U.S. government is set to release that highly anticipated first-of-its-kind report this summer in June.
Today, the Pentagon announced that President Biden ordered the shoot-down of a vehicle-sized spherical object over the sky of Alaska. This was days after a balloon was shot down over the Atlantic Ocean, and mysterious green laser lights have appeared in the skies of Hawaii. Green laser lights may be some sort of coastline mapping system, as similar systems have been seen before and were used for the same purpose. According to a White House spokesperson, no one knows who owns this unidentified flying object. They also added that they were unclear where it began its flight, meaning they don't know where it came from. What they did say was the device was spherical and the size of a vehicle, but interestingly enough, they are not saying it was a balloon. So if it wasn't a balloon, what do you think it could be?
Police officer there, and I was like, so what's up, man, are the aliens here? And he looked at me kind of questioningly, and he pulled his mask down, and he said, hey, we're not allowed to talk about it. I said, yeah, I'm sure. So that's kind of crazy that there's no video, that people that called it in didn't take any videos or anything, and he pulled his mask back down, and he said, so the weird thing is that this camera on my shoulder, we're missing 20 minutes of footage from the officer's camera. They're not allowed to talk about it. They've been debriefed on this whole thing, and nobody knows. And the family's not even saying like how this spaceship or these people even left their property.
If this UFO footage is legend, what kind of alien race is this alien from? Keep in mind there's 6 different races that we may know of. Now, tell me, what kind of race is this alien from?
The short grays,
Watch this and
also known as the Zeta Reticulums. The Greys are some of the most well-known aliens. They are commonly depicted throughout alien pop culture and are the culprits of most alien abductions. The tall Greys, standing 7 to 8 feet tall, hairless and pale, the Grey Masters are the ambassadors of most meetings between human and alien forces. They represent both human and Grey biological material combined, and therefore play a lead role in assisting the short Greys with interacting with humanity.
Oh shit!
To be there, we were seeing dark gray or black cubes inside of clear spheres that were operating anywhere from stationary, 0 airspeed, even in the wind, all the way up to upwards of 1.1 to 1.2 Mach, which I personally witnessed.
So lawmakers have signaled a hearing on some of these new revelations is coming, and you've said in previous interviews this is an issue of national security. So what are your biggest concerns, and how would you like the government to address them?
Yeah, so first off, I'd like to just offer a lot of support for David and any other whistleblowers that are considering coming forward. We need to remember that this isn't happening in a vacuum. This is happening in response to very specific legislation that Congress created and was signed into law by President Biden in December of 2023. And so what we're now seeing the result of that legislation come forward. We need to now put the onus on Congress to investigate the claims that that David